What if goodbye wasn't an end, but a pause in a conversation no one fully understands? The screen glows with a simple, haunting post. "This is my final goodbye." Fingers hover, hearts beat faster, yet no one clicks away. What does it mean to leave something behind that refuses to vanish? Can absence echo louder than presence? And if a digital trace survives us, does that trace belong to the living or the dead? The world waits, silent, as the cursor blinks and the post lingers, a phantom question in the algorithm of life. Somewhere between grief and curiosity, something begins to stir. The post should have ended everything, but it didn't. Instead, it became a pulse in the digital bloodstream, alive in ways neither logic nor grief could explain. Every like, every comment, every share was a heartbeat from an absence. It was as if the world refused to close its eyes, and neither could those left behind. Questions began to grow in the quiet. Can a presence persist without a body? Does memory inhabit the network or merely haunt it? And in that haunting, who truly belongs to whom? Every digital footprint felt like a whisper from beyond, a message coded in shadows. The friends scrolled slowly, fearing revelation yet craving connection. Every post carried the weight of intent, the precision of someone still thinking, still feeling. But how could that be when the body had already gone? And in this uncertainty, grief became an algorithm, calculating loss in patterns and repetitions impossible to escape. The digital analyst leaned closer, tracing lines of code, patterns in metadata, seeking logic in the impossible. Every timestamp, every subtle edit, every automated-like action suggested intention. And yet it was not intention as they understood it. It was something beyond. A consciousness stretched across circuits and light, asking questions no human could answer. Can life extend into zeros and ones? And if so, who owns it? The departed, or the world left behind? Night fell, thick and silent. The account continued, posting fragments, echoes, pieces of a soul unmoored. The friend and sibling watched in parallel, alone together yet worlds apart, each grappling with grief and wonder. The digital life of the departed refused to be contained, forcing a reckoning. Perhaps closure was a human illusion, and presence, in all its forms, is never truly gone. The posts multiplied overnight. Every new message felt deliberate, almost personal. The living began to wonder whether the departed was speaking through the wires, or whether grief itself had learned to mimic him. Was this life extended, or a trick of memory imprinted onto code? Every ping of a notification became a heartbeat, reminding the watchers that absence could carry its own weight, heavier than any touch. Each post seemed tailored, almost intimate. Random photos, fragments of text, memes that only the closest could understand, yet no one could determine the sender. Was this the ghost of a man, or had the digital world itself learned to imitate him? The question hung heavier than sorrow. If his presence could persist here in code, what did it mean to truly let go? Followers began speculating. Some claimed it was a hack. Others swore it was the spirit of the departed manifesting. Yet the friend and sibling were left with no certainty, only questions. Could someone or something continue to influence the world after life had ended? And if so, who had the right to witness, to intervene, or to mourn? The answer remained coded, hidden in the digital ether. The analyst discovered irregularities, subtle, impossible sequences that suggested intention. Algorithms alone could not explain them. It was as if the departed had left instructions woven into the patterns of the account, encoded in ways that only the most attentive could perceive. The digital presence was no longer passive. It was deliberate, questioning, almost sentient. Night after night, the posts persisted. The friend and sibling felt as if the departed were walking among them. Unseen, yet unmistakable. Grief became a conversation that never ended, a dialogue conducted in light, and shadow. The digital ghost asked what the living could not answer. When someone leaves, who truly remains? Each post now felt like a puzzle. Every word, image, and timestamp hinted at meaning, yet meaning remained just out of reach. The living scrolled, traced, and traced again, hoping to decipher intent. Was it a message for them? A confession, or merely the residue of a life paused too soon? In chasing comprehension, they wondered if understanding the dead was a right or burden. The analyst noticed sequences repeating at precise intervals. They were subtle, almost invisible to a casual observer, but deliberate. Each repetition was like a heartbeat, a rhythm coded into the account. It posed a haunting question. If patterns persist after life ends, does that constitute presence? Or is it merely memory dressed in algorithmic form? The siblings stared at one particular post over and over. A joke, a photo, a quote. It made no sense alone, yet in combination with others, a narrative emerged. It was almost as if the departed were leaving breadcrumbs for understanding, but only for those willing to face the discomfort of grief intertwined with mystery, morality, memory, and the right to closure collided in every scroll. The friend hesitated before commenting on a post, feeling the weight of speaking to someone who could not reply. Every typed word felt like trespassing or communion. Could they honor a voice that seemed alive, yet belonged to someone gone? Grief became a moral labyrinth, where each choice, like reply, ignore, echoed through emptiness. Night deepened, and the patterns became a language only partially understood. The posts were a mirror, reflecting not only the departed, but the watchers themselves. Their guilt, their hope, their fear of letting go. It seemed that some presence never truly leaves, and the more one seeks to decode it, the more one is forced to confront the ethics of observing, interpreting, and preserving what was never theirs to command. The posts no longer felt like breadcrumbs. They felt like whispers from a presence that refused to rest. The friend and sibling grappled with unease, unable to look away. Was this a message, a plea, or merely a haunting echo? Each scroll brought a confrontation with absence, forcing them to ask, can one truly mourn when the departed seems to watch, even through pixels and code? The analyst found evidence of subtle edits made long after the original post. Was it a glitch, a hacker, or the impossible? Intention from beyond? Each revelation drew them deeper into a void, where grief and curiosity intertwined. The more they sought understanding, the more they risked losing themselves to a presence that no longer belonged to the world of the living. The siblings' frustration grew into obsession. The posts became a mirror for guilt, longing, and unanswered questions. Could they intervene? Should they intervene? The room filled with silent tension as each new notification forced the living to confront the void the departed left behind, and the void the departed seemed to fill. The friend hesitated, trembling with a mixture of fear and need. Each post felt like a conversation she could not end, a presence she could not dismiss. She realized that grief had become a dialogue, a tether across absence, where silence was impossible and closure a forbidden idea. Night settled, and the digital pulse continued, relentless and unyielding. The friend and sibling remained, caught between mourning and obsession, witnessing a presence neither fully alive nor fully gone. In that suspended state, they understood. The void was not a place, but a conversation. And in that conversation, even absence could speak. Old posts resurfaced, fragments of jokes, photos, and half-written thoughts that had gone unnoticed. Each revealed a dimension of the departed life that was at once familiar and strange. Memory and interpretation collided. Could anyone ever truly know a person? Or do we only know the echoes left behind, pieced together from fragments and shadows? The digital analyst found sequences of posts that seemed intentionally cryptic, jokes or messages meant only for the closest. Each click felt like decoding a private language, a conversation hidden from the world. Could this have been the departed's way of speaking beyond death, leaving guidance or warning in the patterns only loved ones could understand? The sibling paused over one old post, realizing it revealed a truth no one had known. A fear, a secret, a longing buried beneath layers of daily life. It was like the departed had chosen this method of confession, forcing the living to face things better left unsaid. Morality and grief collided. Should this knowledge be shared or remain sacred? The friend realized that memory was a fragile construct, reconstructed each time it was revisited. The posts weren't just messages. They were mirrors, reflecting both the departed and those left behind. In this fractured landscape of recollection, forgiveness and understanding were no longer linear, but layered, like echoes, stacked upon echoes in the digital void. By dawn, the fractured memories had coalesced into a mosaic of absence and presence. The posts had become a conversation across time, space, and mortality, forcing the living to confront the ethics of witnessing, understanding, and preserving what could no longer speak. Perhaps closure was never meant to come. Perhaps presence itself was the gift and the burden. The posts no longer felt like messages. They felt like existence itself. The departed had transcended flesh, inhabiting the digital threads that connected the world. Every notification was a reminder that life could extend beyond death. Yet this extension carried weight, responsibility, and uncertainty. To witness it was to confront the limits of human control over memory, grief, and presence. The analyst discovered patterns suggesting ongoing intelligence behind the posts, subtle enough to question whether the departed had left instructions or had somehow learned to act beyond life. Every click, every scroll became a meditation on autonomy, ethics, and the strange power of a consciousness diffused into zeros and ones. The friend hesitated before interacting again. Each post was a choice, a moral dilemma. To respond was to engage with a presence that no longer belonged to the living. To ignore was to risk losing a connection that might never return. Grief and desire intertwined, creating a fragile, precarious balance between letting go and holding on. The siblings struggled to accept that the departed had achieved a strange form of immortality. The posts were not the person themselves, yet they carried a fragment of essence, a memory encoded into action and language. To exist digitally was to persist without closure, forcing the living to wrestle with a new form of presence and absence simultaneously. Night deepened, and the posts continued without pause. The friend and sibling realized that immortality was both gift and burden. The digital ghost persisted, neither fully alive nor fully gone, leaving the living to navigate a world where grief and memory were entangled with code. Perhaps the departed had never truly left, but neither could the living fully remain untouched. The posts began to change. No longer fragments or cryptic messages, they formed sentences that felt almost deliberate, almost final. The watchers realized that the departed had left something unmistakable, a message not for the world, but for those willing to confront the weight of presence and absence. It was a farewell wrapped in the complexity of memory, a final echo that would resonate in silence as much as on screens. The analyst confirmed what they had suspected. The final post was automated, a scheduled sequence encoded long ago. It was no longer a ghost, acting on instinct. It was a deliberate structure designed to conclude. The digital echo was giving them a choice: witness, understand, and accept, or step away and let the memory fade. Either choice carried the weight of consequence. The sibling and friend sat in silence. The posts were quiet now, each new upload a gentle whisper of the past. They realized that closure was not a single moment, but a process of witnessing, of bearing presence in memory, while learning to release it. The digital ghost, persistent yet fading, had taught them a lesson about love, grief, and the ethics of memory. As dawn approached, the room filled with quiet reflection. The departed had vanished from the feed, leaving only traces of presence behind. But in those traces, the watchers found a profound understanding. That presence is not just flesh, and absence is not just silence. Memory, grief, and digital echoes had merged to create a new way of knowing. A reminder that even when someone leaves, they can linger in the spaces we inhabit and the choices we make. The account remained silent, and the room felt empty yet full. Silence, they realized, could speak louder than any post. The digital ghost had completed its final upload, leaving behind a lesson encoded in absence. That life, memory, and love persist beyond form, beyond screens, and beyond endings. In witnessing, they had discovered the paradox. Some goodbyes are never final, and some presence is eternal in ways the eye cannot see.